right, I will see you all soon. People often think that a spiritual path is about turning thunderstorms into rainbows. But the truth is, it's about realizing you are the whole sky. And the human self, because it contains and involves having an ego, means there are times when there is a sensation, feeling, and often the expression of something called anger. Now, there are many other emotions you may term to be negative. And in a previous talk, we said, embrace the negativity. So now we look at just one of those emotions, and we'll use anger as our example. You may decide that there are more than that you would consider to be negative. Now, anger arises, and if it is based in the ego, it is then based in the duality, the separateness, the self and the other. And often there is a desire, then a frustration, and that frustration may at some stage turn into anger. And if it is retained by the ego, then anger, of course, will divide and separate one from another. Say that there is anger here because you are there, because you have done something or haven't done something. And therefore, the frustration from the desire gives the feeling and the sensation of the anger that arises. Now, if the anger is retained and focused upon, then, of course, that anger may soon become uncontrollable and will soon become an expression of greater and greater division. Anger reinforces the duality. But there is a way of bringing anger into a practical use. And we'll say this is harnessing the negativity. Over the course of history, you will often find that the frustration leading to anger has developed great movements. Those movements resulted in change, a change in society, changed the way one person looks at another, changes in oppression. Now, this is not as a result of the anger, but rather as the result of the transmutation of anger or transcendence of anger. So rather than trying to, or allowing it to be uncontrolled, it is rather better for it to be focused and dedicated in a certain direction. And then that negativity can be used for a cause, maybe for good, for change for the better. How is this done? How do you harness the negativity? Focus it in the right way rather than allowing it to fester and build and become a flame into a fire into a furnace. Well, the first part of this is purely awareness. The awareness that the faint glimmer of anger is starting to build. And it may build rather quickly. And as soon as that sniff on the breeze of anger is known, then you should be still and look at the anger. If you look carefully, and you can look with an open mind and not be controlled by that anger, you will see that underneath it is a desire often from love. But that desire for love is expressed impurely rather than purely. So this is the first key and perhaps the most difficult part. To stop, to see, to watch, to look. And then when you look into the eyes of this emotion, rather than turning your back or running away from it, you look into its eyes and see that it is derived from a desire that has led to frustration. In that little time, you then need to bring love to the anger. Now that does sound rather difficult to do. How do you bring love to the anger? Well, in essence, you are bringing love to the desire, which has led to frustration and anger. So let us say that your friend turns up late for a meeting that you had together. Not by a minute or two, but enough time to allow your frustration to arise. And as your friend joins you, then you have the potential for that anger to burn in your heart and then come out of your mouth. But if you look at the anger before it develops, you see the desire is, well, let us say, to be respected, to feel valued. And if you can bring your love to that situation at that time, you may be able to see that it is self-love that is lacking. It is not dependent on your friend arriving on the stroke of the hour, exactly as planned. And that self-love then, in looking and clarifying what has happened, gives the opportunity to love arise. So the second part is the awareness. Well, the first part is the awareness, then the looking into, a discovery of the real cause, and the bringing of love to the desire. If you followed this step, I don't think it's too much for you to see that anger is now not available. What may have separated two people can very easily be transmuted into a connection between two people. By converting the desire into love, then there is no rise for anger. So how do we convert this desire, the frustration and the corresponding anger, into a cause for good? Maybe to bring more peace into the world, to change certain rights and movements, to object to a government, to move society. Or for you to complete the project that you most want to complete. So let us say then that there is a desire to change some part of the world. And then there is the government, for example, putting an obstacle or not changing or being narrow-minded or however you would judge them. Now that desire leads to the frustration, and the frustration to the anger, potentially. With awareness, once that frustration is seen, then the energy can be directed into the appropriate action. That action may not be one of anger, but may be one of peace or a peaceable objection. And therefore, the anger, forgive me, the desire, gives rise to a frustration. A frustration gives rise to an action. And that action may also, if you are not careful, change into anger as well. So you must be aware in this process. And the desire can be converted through frustration into action, but with love in your heart rather than the desire to tear the world apart. So often people come and talk, and we talk about the need for a certain activity in their life. Well, let us call it meditation, but there are others. People say that I should meditate. And if they are ill-equipped or untrained or unsupported, then that desire to meditate may lead to a frustration in it not working the way they thought it should, or as quick as it should. And the ego tries to stand apart and to separate and say, that is not right, you are wrong. Someone has told you wrong. There are other ways. I know better. You do not need this. You are too advanced for this. And a frustration starts to build that you must sit and battle with that rampant mind. And then self-anger arises. The anger directed towards the self. So you see, the ego says what you do is wrong. But if you don't do it, that would be wrong as well. It is a lose-lose at best with the rambling ego mind. So the process is still the same. There is a desire to find some peace. And the activity is meditation. That activity of meditation does not work, so there is frustration. You say, I cannot be doing this right. There must be something wrong. Look how silly or stupid I am. And then there is the potential for that to be a spiral ever downwards as the frustration starts to develop into some kind of anger. But if you can see that this is beginning, if you can see that the mind has rambled once again and I have lost my focus, and you can see that the seed of frustration is there, then you can bring love to the desire. But say, my true desire is peace. And this frustration takes me from the peace. And that agitation that is starting to build, I could use that energy to be a little firmer in what I must do. And then you have the option to go back into the meditation. But no, it is just the battle of desire and the ego trying to hold on to its true self, onto what it thinks itself is. And the cracks in the ego are forming. In this example of meditation, you can see that the person is beginning to become aware of the seed of frustration, aware of the seed of anger, aware of the underneath desire. And if it can be seen before the emotion flourishes and blooms, then it can be nipped in the bud and converted into a useful emotion or energy, and brought back into focus and used in the way that is useful to the practice. There are times when, even though you may practice pausing and seeing and watching and looking, where the anger builds far too quickly and has taken over before you have had the chance to stand in the way. When this is to occur, and if that anger is at such a level that you are firing arrows in another's direction, at some stage, there is a glimmer of awareness of what you are doing. There is anger. I am angry. And as soon as you can see yourself, you have the choice to change, to harness, to look at, to see clearly, and then to convert. Just because the horse has bolted, the horse cannot run forever. And you cannot retain your anger forever, even if you try. And as soon as you become aware that anger has been uncontrolled, that awareness then gives you choice. And anger is now in the past and need not be in the present or continue into the future. Awareness is always at least the first part of your solution. The human experience means there'll be times when all sorts of emotions may arise. You may say some are negative and some are positive. But the human experience means that there is some separation between one body and another body. And so as a consequence, there is always the potential for difference. But you are not that body. You are, in fact, at least in the beginning, or a stepping stone towards your truth, the awareness that sees all of this arise. So let's put it simply. Well, let me attempt to put it simply. If it is true that in fact you are the awareness, each time you come back to awareness rather than lost in thought or action or emotion, then you are being nearer to your true self. So the act of meditation, of going beyond the rambling mind to see the awareness watching the thought, to see the emotion arising, to see the frustration, to see the desire, to see the true desire, to see the uncontrolled emotion, to see the energy to convert it into a positivity movement for change. All of this must have an awareness watching it. So by being aware of what is occurring, you are being closer or becoming closer, revealing your true self underneath. Perhaps we can pause there. And Brandon, may I have the healing list, please?
Sharon S., Jeremiah and Maureen, Jody, Noah, Sharon and Nicole, Cynthia, Lua, Guy and Helen, Graham and Wendy Beck, Suzette, Ben and Roxanne Wielden, Howard, Teresa, Craig and Amanda, Alex, Taylor C., Roz, Karen, Abby, Aiden, Rob, Susie, Nisha Ann, Oliver, Elizabeth C., Aiden, Abby, and Amanda, Mark, all the Rabbins and their family, Tom, Lakeisha, Tori, and Michelle, Jody, Raisui, Oliver, Elizabeth, Lee, Ray, Erin, and Grace, Jeannie, Norm, and Megan, Nancy Krause, Al, Marco, Tracy, Eric, Stephen, Matthew, Marianne, Jody, Jill, Katie, Mitch, Lorna, Harriet, Cheryl, Laura, and Angela. Thank you.
So can you be aware of my words now? Can you hold your attention and focus? Or do you drift off into the illusion? Bring your focus to the words. Bring your attention to here and now. Hold your attention on what is being said. For the times you are holding your attention to the word, then your fears and your doubts and your worries are not with you. To let us deepen that process. Let love be in your heart. Let love be felt in your being. And hear my words through that love. And let your heart be open so that the words may come into your heart. And the words, the attention, and the love all seem to merge together. The words being spoken seem to have love within them. They seem to work somehow within your heart space. And it becomes very difficult to then close the heart. Not impossible, but you can bring love into the listening. The words then do not stay on the surface. And if you can listen with love in your heart, then the one who you are listening to will also receive the love. And when one who is speaking has love in their words, and one who is listening has love in the listening, then there is no separation. The two become one. But if you do not listen with love in your heart, but you listen with desire in your mind, and the building of frustration, then two do not become one. But there is a veil between the two. And that veil can get wider and bigger and taller and stronger. But with awareness, you can see what is happening and pick love as the first choice. So even if your partner is saying and doing something wrong, if you can resist your frustration and let love be in your heart, you and them can step beyond. Beyond the gap into the new world of connection. And if you keep love in your heart, and you think of those which may be in a difficult place, or they are unclear, unaligned to their truth, as you hold love in your heart, and you think of them in their difficulty, then love flows towards them. And they may have a chance to convert their own frustration into a cause for their good. So the healing list and the wish list become very similar. And it becomes dependent upon the one that is giving the wish or requesting the healing. If it is just functionary, then there is little that will be done. But if there is a genuine desire for difference, then many things can occur. So as you think of a name of a person that needs healing or a change in circumstance, let your emotion be true as you think about them. And your intention becomes the facility for change. So in a moment, we will read the wish list, our last one for a while. So as the names and the requests are read, if you can hold love in the listening, if you prefer, hold peace as you listen. And at some stage, in some way, the recipient will receive your emotion, as well as the emotion being set by the one that requested their names be placed on the wish list. So Brandon, may I have, please, the wish list now?
From Jane, she asked to find a method to effectively catalog and remember her studies in preparation for the test in February. From Yvonne, May Hope have continual improvement in her mental health so that she can be the best possible, kind, compassionate, loving parent to her children. May all parents treat their children with loving kindness. From Suzanne, may Stephanie win her court case and she finally be at peace. From Milada, for Helen to receive that which her heart desires most. For Coulter, that his pain be lifted body and mind so he can see clearly. For Emily and her family to heal. For the medium to share spirit far and wide as his heart's desire. From Amanda Kleinman, for Melissa to land her dream job and continue on pathway to self-love and peace. For Amanda herself to clear out samskaras and limiting beliefs and to fully become a clear channel of love in this lifetime. For her partner and immediate family, ongoing support from the spirit world to know inner peace and real love. Noah to find peace and happiness in life. Jody to align with her true self. Craig continues to heal his anxiety and heal his foot, knees, and hip. Wishing Chantal finds a job that gives her joy and confidence. Wishing Daniel finds purpose and joy, encouraging him to re-engage with school, work, and friendships. Wishing Ron finds a meaningful connection with his wife and children. From Tracy, for Tracy to find courage in being loved in moments of fear. For Jill to face fear with courage and love. And from Wendy, my wish is to live from the truth of who I am and to be aware of awareness. We all thank you.
This series of talks have given some platforms, some exercises, some, I would hope, some clarity for the steps you can take towards understanding your spiritual self. The exercises at times have been about awareness. There was one last week about being grateful or showing appreciation. In essence, of course, coming back to awareness and love. Know what you are focusing upon and how you create either the positive or the negative. How you can be sure, how you can evolve, how you can convert. But most importantly, through the support of this and other talks, how you can become aware. There are some which say that life you should just live. Endure what must be endured and hold on to what causes pleasure. And avoid anything that causes pain. But the best way is to be aware and to watch the play of life play out. Of course, that fits very nicely with an analogy that has been given before. To walk into the movie theatre and watch the movie, and then to stand up and to leave. Of course, there was more to that analogy than the brief description. Later this week, there is one that will take that analogy to the next level and see another step which is available. And that will come in its time. If you look at the way you live your life, in other words, be aware of the way you are living your life, you will notice at times you will live in the logical mind, which will continue to generate more thoughts. And if you are aware that you are living your life by logic, that awareness will give you the choice to go beyond it into feeling. You can be aware then that you are living through your heart. And then you can continue your stepping stones beyond the heart. To a point where you bring heart and mind together. And they're used in the correct order. One supporting the other, not negating it. It is not about leaving the logic and only living in the heart. But to begin with, that appears to be a stepping stone that must be taken. It is also not about converting thunderstorms into rainbows. But you should realize you are the sky that thunderstorm and that rainbow are within. So next week, we open to questions. You may ask any question you wish. I would prefer it is on the topic that we have spoken about, but you may ask as you see fit. Please bring your question with you or send it ahead of time to Brandon. Today was the last of the wish list for a while, but the healing list will continue. And if you would like, if you ask with an open heart, and a true desire, I will come and sit in your heart with you. May you discover the pieces within your heart as well. God bless you all.